Welcome to the Cardiff City phone-in. Monday, 9th of December, an esteemed panel of guests. I'll start down the bottom. Spaghetti Arms is back. Mr. Neil Smith.
Evening, Wiggy. Great introduction.
Evening. All right. How are we, Neil?
Albatross.
Bottom right, nice to have you back. Mr. Jonathan Wilkins. How are you, John?
Champion Steve.
Good. And right at the top, I'm amazed we managed to get him in tonight. It's our resident roving concert and travel reporter, Mr. Al Worth, who surprisingly stayed away from the Boy George concert in Cardiff tonight. Don't believe it, Al.
Good evening, and welcome.
All right, gents. All right. Good to have you on. The good news is we didn't lose on Saturday. Game called off, probably for all the right reasons. I'm sure we'll all agree there. It got particularly nasty, didn't it? So, what do you think? Go on, Neil.
Yeah,
are you happy the game was off?
Yeah, I think everything was off in Wales. One, it's probably the right decision. It's no good for us, kind of thing, as fans. But it's probably the right decision. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. And I read quite a few comments on the message board. It's surprising how many fans we got. Travel down from Worcester. I know Steve is up there as well, Steve Thomas, and a lot of people travel from away, don't they? So I think it's, even though it did sort of calm down a little bit by 3:00, I think you just got to take safety into consideration, haven't you? At the end of the day. Can we quickly?
One of my mates is a Watford fan. And he came down the night before. One of my mates was a Watford fan. Came down the night before and then stayed over. Was expecting all his mates to all turn up on Saturday, and of course none of them did. I think the club for once the police made the right decision to call off as early as they did. It would have been typical Cardiff City to wait for like 10,000 people to arrive, really, wouldn't it? And then said, "Oh, we're not having a game today." But the best organised thing this season, I think, it was calling off that game.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and at least we still got the 3 points intact. I saw there was a chap who, I don't know if you saw it in the news. He travelled from Australia to the Merseyside derby, so he'd obviously paid a shed load of money for the ticket on the plane and to get to the game, and obviously was going to be out of pocket. I think Seamus Coleman, one of the Everton players, heard about it, and he got in touch with him and invited him to training today. That's a really good gesture, isn't it? Fair play.
Nice one.
Tidy. Fair play.
Anyway, just to quickly nip back, because our last game would have been Coventry City away, and I'm just looking at the fixtures, and they're back in Cardiff on New Year's Day. I don't know what you all thought, but personally, I thought it was a bit of an improved performance, especially off the back of it was dire, the QPR game at home, wasn't it? So. Personally, I was pleased. We could have won it. We probably should have won it. I don't know what you think, John. You were there.
Yeah, it's much improved performance. Much improved. Gutted Turnbull went off. Looks like he'd be out for a while. Done his hamstring in. Impressed when he come on, rained off. Very impressed with him. Robertson I thought he had a cracking game. Robertson in the middle of the park. Excellent game. Superb. I was at the other end, the penalty. I thought when I looked at it, on the computer and all that jazz, I thought a bit harsh. But if the referee took over the minute and the linesman, if they're not sure, they shouldn't have given it. Yeah. And I think they bottled to the crowd. Myself personally,
the ref was dire all game, John. To be honest,
he was shocking.
Off him, not a decision at all.
The thing is, we've discussed it before, right? With regards to the refs, what's happened is so many of the refs that previously would have refed in the Championship are now taking part in VAR for the Premiership. So what's happening is we're getting less experienced refs coming up. I mean, and even lower down the leagues. They're having awful problems at the moment, whereby they're just getting, like in League Two, they're getting some refs who've never refed a league game before, having to come and make decisions. And people say, they've noticed over the years the quality of the refs. I'm putting it down to that. We're getting less experienced refs, or we're getting refs who aren't thought to be good enough for the Premier League. And I think it shows. It's very rare do we get a ref that seems to sort of know what they're doing, really. And God knows, I mean, that's, linesmen. I mean, that's even worse even still, isn't it? And it goes back to John.
Do we all, Neil? Sorry, Al. Did we all think it was a penalty?
I think it's as harsh as it can get, really. And let's be honest,
very harsh.
Cardiff City after half a sec. If that's given in any game, you're going to question it. It's as simple as that. They got to be shocked to be given that, especially the way it's given. But you've got to deal with it. And that's it. You've got to dust yourself off and get back on, kind of thing. It's done now. It's in the past, isn't it? So we just got to look forward. I think that's the main thing.
Nell, your mate's a Coventry fan. What did he say? I bet he thought it was a Stonewall penalty. Did he?
Yeah, they weren't much really comments. I actually met up with him, as you know, yesterday, kind of thing. And he thought it was a pen, and that's that. Which I suppose flip it on his head if that's down here, and we're going to say it's a pen 100%. So yeah, it's a bit concerning now. We got out of the next 6 games, we got 4 away games. We only got the 2 at home, as far as I can see. Sheffield United, there's an easy one, and Coventry, the rematch against them. So we got a bit of a tough run coming up, I feel.
We'll come to those in just a second. What I was going to say about the penalty, I think these days, if any defender puts his arm out in the box, he's risking it. And when they showed the main camera angle, I thought, no way is that a penalty. When they showed it from behind the goals, you could see the deflection off the arm. So it's easy to see why the lino over that side gave it, because there was obviously a bit of a deflection. It's a pity because I don't think Coventry looked like scoring, and I think we would have run off with the 3 points, which I don't think we could have argued against that, really. I mean, I thought we did okay. And talking of goals, great to see our old pal Matty notching at last.
Yeah. And going like that to the fans to say shush, and I'm thinking, well, you haven't scored since 1942, get over yourself, You've
got a point here, John. You've got a point. If he's been banging him in and he's got an issue with the fans, kind of thing, fair enough. Yeah. He's entitled to what he wants to do. But as John said, when he's, you can't fault his actual effort. That's one thing I won't fault. It's good. In relation to him and Kanga, it's chalk and cheese kind of thing. None of them are particularly good, unfortunately. But at least he puts a shift in. I don't think you can argue with that.
Greeny.
What do you reckon, Al?
It's just professional players, isn't it? Very ill-advised to do what he did, especially in the predicament we find ourselves at the moment. You go to 12 and no, how many were up there, John? 1,800?
Between 16 and 1,800. Yeah.
It's coming to Christmas, people's last payday. They're spending their money to go up there, and then to do that, it just shows kind of. I don't see like footballers anyway, and to do something like that, I just think it's rubbing the nose in the people who are spending their hard-earned cash to go and see City. And to be honest with you, the performances don't deserve fans to go away to see them. Preceded, the QPR game was so poor. I don't think they've got any right to do that. They should be paying people to go and watch them.
John, has he had any abuse when away from home? I know you go like everyone kind of thing, because he's not getting any at home as far as we're sat. I'm not hearing anything. People are disappointed. I think if he makes a mistake,
nothing nasty or anything like that, Neil.
No. I just wondered. That's all. Like you pick up on it, I know.
Yeah, no, nothing, mate. Nothing to warrant that. I felt get over yourself,
Yeah,
exactly.
Staying with goals, just as a bit of a sideline today, I had a bit of time over lunch, and I asked people the best goal that you've ever seen, either at the Cardiff City Stadium or at the old girl Ninian Park. And just as a bit of a sideline, if you're watching tonight and you haven't commented, then be interested to know, because the first one that popped into my head was Bothroyd's goal against Queen's Park Rangers a few seasons back. I just remember it was a blazing hot day, and they scored a worthy goal, and then Bothroyd put one in the top corner in front of the Canton, and I think we won 3-2. I'm not sure, or it may have been a draw. I can't remember.
It was a 2-2 draw.
2-2. Yeah, Taras scored the worldie at the end, didn't he?
Taras. Yeah.
The Moroccan.
That's one of my favourite goals at the City Stadium. What about you, Neil? Any favourites at either stadium?
Yeah, I think I said on the actual post, Nathan Blake's against Man City, and also Hasselbank against Wolves in the cup run as well. I mean, quite similar goals in the way they killed it top corner kind of thing. Graham Kavanagh's free kick. I mean, you watch that again. I mean, from where he's taking it on that angle, I know you can say the keeper's poor there, being beaten at the near post, but they're just three to spring to mind. Obviously, it's the Buchanan goal. Everyone loves that because of who it's against as well. But they would be up there. There's a lot of Kumas goals I can't remember where he dribbled past about 4 defenders and rifle into the top corner. I mean, you can take your pick from any of them. But, good memories. It was
Did you have a favourite, Al?
I mentioned on your post, I think Mark Delaney's against Chester City in the cup, where he ran the length of the field. I mean, that's one that really sort of sticks in my mind. And then John had mentioned earlier, I think a few people did as well, as far as I still call it the new stadium. As far as the new stadium's concerned, Whittenham's goal against Barnsley. I think when you watch it back now, I didn't realise how good it was at the time. But if you watch it back now, it's incredible technique. And the pitch was in a bit of a state then, strangely. I mean, we had problems with it for a few years, didn't we?
The rugby.
Yeah, that's what it was, the rugby. And, he was just, Wits. I mean, you see a compilation of his goals, absolutely incredible. I mean, the one that sticks in mind for me, we're talking about him, that goal away at Leicester City, and I can remember it was deadly quiet, and I can remember the ball, the sound of it hitting the post on the way in, sort of pinged, and he's just what a player, and a travesty really that he, it's horrible to say. It was great that he had the loyalty, but it's a travesty he didn't play at a much higher level because I think he could have.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of people going back to Ninian Park, and we'll all probably remember this one because it was against the Jacks. John Buchanan's winner I think it was virtually on injury time. Remember that, John?
I remember like yesterday. I was in a bar bank with my late father. We took the lead, Gary Stevens, Basil. Then Curtis equalised. Then I think Rushbury, was Neil Rushbury, my idol, Ron Ely, he fumbled, ball hit his chest, come out, and I think it was Neil Rushbury or something like that. He scored the second. Then Leighton James, header, that looping header, 3-1. Kitchen made it 3-2. Then we had that free kick. Paul Giles ran over the ball. Wayne Hughes laid it off. And what impressed me about I was torn I was with this because he scored 2 worldies against Sheffield United, April 79, Buchanan. He scored an hat-trick, penalty, 125-yarder and 130-yarder. But this one, the free kick, he hit it with the outside of his foot, with his right foot. And it was going low, then slowly rising. Dave Stewart can go for the jack. You put another keeper there, wouldn't have stopped it. Top right-hand corner, superb goal. Grounded blooded. They said it was 20-odd fouls in there. Yeah, and the rest. Yeah.
They used to cram him in those days, didn't they? It's just nice to talk. I just thought around Christmas time, it's nice to go back and remember some brilliant goals. And I tell you one which won Dad and myself a load of money because we always used to bet Whittingham first goal scorer at the Cardiff City Stadium, and we won so much money on that. But when Hudson scored that long range shot from outside the ground, didn't he? Against Derby, it flew in.
Unbelievable.
That was a few good as well. Let's go back to the just before we touch on the manager situation, because I think this is how it happened. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everyone was getting a bit agitated because we were getting no news about the new manager. And then the FAB, the Fans Advisory Board, if I'm correct, they wrote an open letter to the club. Is that right, Al? Before the manager was announced?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Quite a lengthy letter, and the club's response, which I'm sure we're going to go on to, didn't address any of that letter, by the way. The club's reply didn't deal with that letter. Some of it was factually incorrect, the club's reply. They'd said that Steve Bawley had co-chaired all those meetings with the FAB. He hadn't.
Yeah.
I think it was clearly written by their lawyers. And what sticks with me is using the word incendiary. It's like they're dealing with some bloody terrorist organisation. Do you know what I mean? It's just awful, the language. It was, again, I used the word earlier about players being a little advised. Well, whoever wrote that letter on behalf of the club, awful. Read the room, innit? Do you know what I mean? you're having a go.
Yeah, I'll just quickly go.
The fans advisory board the fans advisory board, right, were an elected group. Okay, they've stood for election. I stood to go in it and didn't get enough votes. But what I'm saying is, these people, they're fans, they're ordinary blokes, I guess, and women. Okay, and for the club to then come out and do dealt with things the way they did, I think it's appalling. Absolutely appalling. And the club deserve all they get in retaliation from the fans, I think, because they've brought it on. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they have. And they were fair questions that were asked. They were done in a proper manner, as far as I'm concerned. They just asked, yes, an open letter. Why not? Why keep things behind closed doors? Just a bit of transparency. That's all we want.
Yeah, but just quickly, for those of us who didn't really see, I just did some bullet points here. So it was an open letter to Mehmet and Ken Chu from the Fans Advisory Board, agreed upon by all the club supporter organisations. The FAB warns the club is close to, if not already, experiencing a significant shift in supporter opinion, which could result in irreversible toxicity and apathy no matter what happens on the pitch. And once again, the club finds itself in a precarious position at the bottom end of the table with no full-time manager, no clarity on hiring process, and no clear plan or strategy. The letter says it also points to frustrations over the lack of communication from owner Vincent Tan, either directly or via his directors, which it says has left interim manager Omar Ritzer in the impossible position of fielding questions which should be answered by higher powers. The letter goes on to say you've had over 70 days to find and appoint a first-team manager, and it's indicative of the lack of leadership, overall strategy, and footballing knowledge at the club. That was the letter written to the fans. What do you think about that, Neil?
Yeah, as Al said, it's a bit of a robotic letter back written by potentially the lawyers rather than anyone else. I just think, the questions that were asked were legitimate, and they're not really, as Al said, they're not really answering them. They're not. They just seem to be putting even more of a divide between us. They just can't see it, can they? It's like they got rocks in their head, honestly.
Yeah. I'd just give the FAB call for 3 actions, John. Urgent communication to fans on the current managerial situation, which eventually we got, Clear and credible short-term and long-term plans, which outline how the club plan to break the cycle of failure, and a commitment to complete transparency through frequent communication with supporters. And I think there's a meeting tonight, John, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I thought that letter was disgusting myself personally, and it's like I said to my mates, these people are like politicians, only wanting to know what they wanted to know, like everything else. And like I said to you earlier, Wiggy, they're quick enough to remind everyone, your season tickets all need renewing and stuff like that. Like, they're quick enough then, isn't it? And all we want as fans, what is the plan? Is it a 5-year plan or 2-year plan? What is the plan? And where do they want the club going? What's going? That's all. The fans just want honest answers. I don't think it's too much to ask for.
Basics, John, really, isn't it?
Yeah, basics. Yeah, basics. 70 days to say that Rhys has got the job to the end of the season. 70 days. It's ridiculous. Other teams, like Coventry, they got Lampard. They go about their business. It takes a couple of weeks, boop, 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 and they get it done sorted. Not this lockdown, yeah. Unbelievable.
It's like they're plotting their own downfall at the moment, isn't it?
Yes,
really?
Yeah. Neil, it kills me to say it, right? Neil, Al, Wiggy, it kills me to say it. I said at the start of the season. And Al's seen it, you've seen it, Neil. Late 70s, when you're flirting like 4th and 5th from bottom, your luck only lasts so long, and eventually you'll fall through that trapdoor. Yeah. And I said at the start of the season, we're going to go down, and I think we will. I really, really do. I really, really do.
We obviously
it kills me, but you've got to be honest. Got to be realistic. That letter was disgusting. I'm sorry, it didn't sit right with me. They want to get all those players and come on the coach and me when we got to get up early hours of the morning to go up and watch them. They want to try and do that. Have reality check.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement.
What do you think is a... Go on, Neil.
No, I was just agreeing with John, that's all. He put it really well, that's all.
Why do you think there's such a lack of transparency? Why is it? Why have we gone backwards? We seem to have gone even worse than last season, haven't we? With the transparency thing.
I don't know. I don't know why we're surprised. Okay, this is all down to one man. Okay, even his foot soldiers, Chew and Mehmet Dalman. Mehmet Dalman will say, "My hands are tied." Okay, he will, and he'll say, "I can't answer that." In the meetings that he's had, they've published the minutes of these meetings, and he's basically said, "Well, this isn't down to me. This is down to one man." Okay, what's happened is he's summoned. As far as the managerial appointment is concerned, he summoned Rhys to go over. Rhys has gone over to Malaysia. He's come back with a little bit of a smile on his face. He said, okay, fair enough. Now he's announced, right, out of nowhere, I'm going to start playing some youngsters now. You know exactly what's happened. He's gone over there. Tan, who used to say get the goalkeeper to shoot, okay? You'll never see some of the the interviews now with former players, and they'll talk about when they were at the club now, when they were at the club and what Tan used to do, coming into the dressing rooms, stuff they used to say. And they will say, look, he's a bit of a character, and I'm not going to say anything more than that, but he is. So Rich has gone over there, and now Tan's decided, well, let's have some local youngsters. So what's going to happen? Kieran Evans will come back, right? They'll have some of the young boys will come back, and he will, if he doesn't start winning, he will have a directive from Tan. I want some youngsters playing now. We'll carry on losing, and all of a sudden, it's Rich's fault and the couple of coaches that he's got. It's not their fault. Okay, he's been dealt a very, very bad hand, and it's all very well as fans going, we should have had Bilic, we should have had this, we should have had that. As long as Tan's there, we're just going to get a yes man. End of story. Don't managerial capability. Do you honestly think any manager worth his salt is going to come and to this circus? I don't think they would.
No chance.
They're not good. If they're any good, they will land a good job. Cardiff City is not a good job. In my opinion, I just don't see it. It's all very well us going, oh yeah, we're a sleeping giant, we're this, we're that, we're the other. Like John said, right? Reality check. Okay. Outside of our club, do you honestly think people look at our club and go, oh yeah, they're a well-run, good club? I'd like to, even players.
Laughing stock at the moment.
Well, it is, isn't it? You speak to fans of other clubs.
I was going to say, Neil, let's face it, there's quite a few decent managers, decent proven championship managers out of work at the moment. So do you think that we actually, do any of us think then, I'll go to you first, Neil, do you think that we actually interviewed any of those people that are currently would have maybe applied or out of work?
I reckon we may have made a tepid approach kind of thing, just so maybe they can tell us that they made an approach. Do you know when we used to have rumours that we were signing certain players, and literally they'd make a little bit of contact and go, oh, it's too much money, so he's not. But these things happen, don't they, in football? We all know that. I don't think any serious offers have been put to anyone else, to be honest with you. I don't know why it took so long. They just seem to be waiting, and I just think the frustration in the fans just grew and grew, didn't it, to be honest? Yeah. Hence why this letter come out. So, we're in a bad situation at the moment. We just got to get behind him anyway. As fans, there's no point getting on Riz's back or any of the players. And as long as they're putting a shift in, their hands are genuinely tied. But we got enough in the tank to get us through this season. But like John said, I'm starting to doubt in myself, and I'm the ultimate optimist. Mm-hmm. Really
my worry, okay, is if we do go down, you're up against your likes of Birmingham and Wrexham, who've got deep pockets now, and they're signing excellent players. We've struggled by not spending money. We've struggled to stay anywhere sort of mid-table this year in the Championship. We go down, people are going to go, oh yeah, it's great, we're going to walk that league. Yeah, we're not going to walk that league. The quality of some of the clubs in League One, outstanding. Look at Birmingham City, the run they're having at the moment. And I honestly, my big fear is, I hope we manage to stay up. I'm not sure there's three worse teams than us at the moment. I've got to say that.
Plymouth have got to be, haven't they? Plymouth, for me, they're almost certainly down, I would say. So it's the other two places. I can't see Plymouth staying up, Balder. I got to be honest.
Well, that's the Rooney effect, isn't it? I mean, they've just got.
Let's hope he stays there.
Yeah, I think.
Just to nip in here, guys. I can't see any comments that I don't. Al, I don't know if you can see any comments.
You know what?
I can't see any comments.
I tried to look at it on YouTube, and I couldn't see anything coming in. I don't know whether that's because Steve's changed. I don't know whether it's because Steve's changed the Facebook page. I really don't know.
Dear.
I don't know. Well, I couldn't see it.
No, I can't see no comments.
I can't see any comments, but
now,
there are probably a load of comments coming in. We got quite a few people coming through on Facebook saying they enjoyed it.
It says on YouTube there are 50 people watching. So
it's busy.
If
you have any comments, I was going to say if there are any comments, keep them coming in because we can always look back, even if we can't address them directly tonight. But just to quickly touch on, because someone quickly touched on, have we got any? You did, Al. Have we got 3 teams worse than us? And I just jotted this down before we came on. So below us now, we got Hull, who are rock bottom, who've just appointed Ruben Sellers as their new manager, who's doing a pretty decent job, or was, with Reading, wasn't he, under real extreme circumstances. Then we got Pompey, who walloped Bristol City, who've been going really well in the Championship. They walloped them 3-0 on Saturday, and I saw the highlights. They look particularly good. And we got Plymouth, who've just appointed Mike Phelan as assistant manager to Rooney, haven't they, from the old Manchester United coach. So they've drafted him in to try and halt the slide. I don't know. What do you think, Al?
Well, you're just going through. It's going what John said earlier about new, swift appointments. City fans in Cloud Cuckoo land, aren't they? Mark Robbins has got a great track record, and people are going, "Oh yeah, he'll come to City." I mean, if you're Mark Robbins, would you honestly come to Cardiff City? Not a chance. It's not going. It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. No. It's ironic. Then you see people like Neil Harris. He's doing all right in Millwall, and not a big name, and he's just going about his job quietly. He's probably a lot happier up there. Hull fans probably a bit like us, really. They think they're a sleeping giant, and obviously they played in the Premier League recently. I can see Hull getting out of it. Portsmouth, I'd like to think that was a one-off against Bristol City. Notwithstanding, it was a very, very, very comprehensive defeat, wasn't it? I know Plymouth have got the Jacks tomorrow night, so as much as I love Plymouth to put one over on them, you can't see it, can you? And then,
talking to the Jacks. Yeah, talking to the Jacks. Look, I got given this when I was working down in Swansea on the radio station down there because they all thought I was. They all thought I was a Swansea fan. No, but this is just to remind that 18th of January, I think it is. That's when the derby is at the Cardiff City Stadium. So let's hope Rhys can get our house back in order before then. But how many days did it take to appoint him? It was over 70, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, 71.
So are we? Yeah, I mean, obviously now we got to get behind the guy, haven't we? And give him our full backing and our support. But just before we came on air, we were chatting about the lack of coaches in the City setup, and I think there's only Darren Pearce now who was in charge of the under-21s, threes.
Yeah.
And
Gavin Ward
and
Tom Rasmussen.
Tom Rugrat, isn't it, or whatever his name is.
Tom Rabbit said he's managed to survive a few managerial appointments, hasn't he? And sort of held on in there. But yeah, I don't know how many coaches you're supposed to have, but it doesn't seem like we've got enough, because obviously when Bullet went, that was it, wasn't it? Took everyone with him. But City haven't got the foresight to think we need to replace them. They just see that they got them off the wage bill, but they haven't got them off the wage bill, have they? This is the problem. We're still paying them. They're contracted to us. You can't just sack someone and then not carry on paying them.
Yeah. And talking to young Tom, against QPR, I was paying particular attention to what they were doing on the side, just out of curiosity. And Rizza had Roundoff warming up for ages and ages, and it looked. He showed him a couple of things. It looked like he was going to come on. I said to the boys, he'll be on now in 5 minutes. I think that was with about 30 minutes to go. Then Tom comes up and has a word in his ear, and all of a sudden, then he brings on Mate instead. So is Tom having a bigger influence on the selection process than than we imagine, or is someone in Tom's ear to do things? That was bizarre. That was, I thought. Don't know what you think.
You just can't make that up. I mean,
No,
we've been trying out for a play. You're not going to know unless you play the boy. And as John said, you come on. We've all seen fleeting bits of him in the under-21s and the Southampton game in particular. Listen, when Robinson's out or injured, well, we know he's playing with an injury anyway, I think, isn't he? He's not 100%. We've got to have a replacement. We've got to have a replacement. We've either got to sign someone in January, a loan. It's going to be a loan, if anything. But we got to try and sign someone who's proven. Like we're so thin on the ground in loads of places all over the park. That's the thing that could really damage us, I think. The injuries we pick up is like a ridiculous percentage. The amount of injuries we're getting, people are starting to question now the training tactics and this, that, and the other, and the physios and stuff. It just seems a very, very high number of injuries we seem to pick up.
It's interesting, guys, as well. Talking to the injuries, Neil, it's a great point because, people like Isaac Davis, Atete, and Ramsey, they were due to come back initially. I think the projection was December. Now we're into January for the three of them. They've all had setbacks. Have you seen that, Al?
Yeah, it makes you wonder as well if we haven't got that many coaches. Okay, because they don't want to afford to or don't spend money on coaches. What sort of money we spend on medical staff? Have we got good? None of us. I don't think any of us know. But if we're not spending, to get the best, you've got to pay the best, haven't you? Yeah. And I don't think we'll have the most experienced physiotherapists behind the scenes or medical staff behind the scenes. I mean, look, I'm speculating as far as that's concerned, but it kind of adds up a little bit. I can't imagine them paying good money to have medical staff, but then not paying good money to have coaches on board. All of this being said, okay, if we're trying to, on a bit of positivity, I suppose, there's only, 4 points separating 6 or 7 teams down the bottom. Okay, I was reading earlier today, Preston haven't won in 10. Okay, they haven't won away all season.
That's worrying.
Right? There's only, over the past 5 games, the worst. Over the past 5 games, they've got the second worst run of form in the Championship. We've got the worst, right? But this is all, it's got the makings of a cracker, isn't it? All we need now is a really miserable, cold, wet day, at night, because people aren't encouraged to go down, are they? I went to that QPR game, we were going there and I was just like, is anyone here tonight? They said, 16,000 because of the season ticket. I don't think there was 10,000.
Whatever you do, don't do any voluntary work for the Samaritans or anything like that. I just don't think you're going to cut the mustard.
I just lost the job. The interview didn't go very well. It's an interesting one, apparently, though. With the the family stand, we put out at the start of the season, don't we? £99, you got a kid, okay, to bring a kid in. The parent only has to take the child to 4 games a season. That's 25 quid a game, and that's done. They never have to go again. But the club then can't sell on those tickets. They can't give them away to schools anymore because the family stand, if all the season tickets are sold, the family stand is full. Because someone said to me, "Why don't we just go on the schools and give them, a quid a kid to get in?" And they said, "You can't put anyone in there." So on the one hand, yes, it's great, but I think we've got to look at that for next year. Yes, you can encourage these kids to come in, but is there a way of somehow compelling their attendance? You have to come, otherwise you're not allowed back in. But no, it's an interesting one, isn't it? We're going to, NSPCC will be reported, but we've got 16,000 every game, haven't we? But we haven't. And that QPR, oh blimey, it was like a League Cup game, wasn't it? In August, I was looking around. And then, they say, "Oh, there's no atmosphere from the fans." I mean, do you really feel like you want to start singing and watch that rubbish? I mean, I think it'd be terrible. Coming up to Christmas as well, I think Wednesday the attendance will be absolutely shocking.
Yeah. But just to keep it light-hearted, we're getting a great response on best ever goals at the Cardiff City Stadium or Ninian Park. Nigel Harris, birthday boy. Happy birthday, Nige. Celebrating tonight. Favourite goal, Ninian, John Buchanan against the Jacks. Another shout for that. And another shout for Whittingham against Barnsley. But interesting, he comes up with Marco Gabbiandini. I don't know if you remember this one.
Northampton.
For an opposition goal. Yeah,
Darlington.
Northampton. You remember that?
Northampton, yeah. You hit it from the halfway line. Bang.
Even the City throw
another one coming in has been Peter King. This is going back a little bit further. Peter King, and I always remember. I think it was against Middlesbrough. I think it was going back in the 70s. I don't know if any of you remember it. And he was right out on the touchline, and he hit the ball. It flew in the top corner. Yeah, that was a good memory as well. Yeah.
It's funny.
Just quickly. Go on, Neil.
No, it was me. Sorry, it was me. I was just saying. The Buchanan goal, same as John. I was with my dad then for that game, and I was 10. I can't. Just come to 10, and I can only sort of remember it because I've seen clips of it. Does that make sense? I can't remember being there, and I remember then 2 weeks later, and my dad was a football fanatic. We went and watched. Do you remember? Because Swansea played Crystal Palace. And it was like a third replay in the FA Cup, and they played that in Indian Park. And my old man took me down. I don't know why, but I seem to remember that game a bit more. I know David Giles scored for him, and I can remember. There were loads of City fans there. It was quite weird, right? And I can remember City fans singing Eagles in my head, at least, right? That this was all going on. It's strange, but I remember being at that game, as a 9-year-old. I don't remember really being at the City Swansea game. I know I was there, but I just can't remember. So
it's funny, the mind plays tricks, but I think it's just now and again. I thought with Christmas, as I said here, it's just nice to reminisce, and your mind. You can think. Here's another one because Andrew's come up with Peter Sayer against Spurs in the FA Cup round 3. Were you there? I was there with my dad in Canton that day.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah. That was a great.
But only very
reminiscent because there's so little colour footage of City then. But of course, BBC at the time were able to get FA Cup matches, and they were able to do Welsh Cup matches. So you won't see very much footage, for example, of Robin Friday playing for City in colour. Very, very, very little. I know we played Shrewsbury in the Welsh Cup, and Friday was playing, so you can see that clip online. And obviously the games against in that cup run, Tottenham, obviously that goal. I was on Match of the Day that night. The game against Wrexham with last minute 1-3-2, and then the game against Everton when we lost 2-1 and Albert Lamore sort of tripped over and Mackenzie scored, didn't he? But again, getting footage of these games is really, really, really difficult. There's no league footage of City from then. You look back. If we ever got, I think the one I can remember in 1979, we played Stoke. Garth Crooks was playing for him, and I can remember that for some reason that is on TV. It must have been on Match of the Day for some reason. And if it wasn't
big match, Al.
Big match, was it?
Yeah. John Davis was in goal for the City, won it. Buchanan again scored the penalty. Paul Randall scored for Stoke, won it. What was the other guy's name? I can see his face now. Brendan O'Callaghan and Crooksy won it.
Yeah, I can remember it was the first ever time. No, I'm getting positive again now. Sorry, no, I'm not going to. It was the first time I'd ever heard racism down there. I can remember City fans booing Garth Crooks, and again I was 9. I didn't really understand what was going on. It was quite rife at the time, wasn't it? I can remember.
The boss is on, Mr. Johnson, listening in Portugal. He says, I do wish someone who had a clue from the club was watching, but is there anyone who does really have a clue? No. Over to you, Neil.
Claro.
I often wonder, Wiggy, I often wonder, right? No, seriously now, right? Because there's no one there, full-time employees. I often wonder who opens the key to the club every morning. Because, who's there? Is it someone from the club shop or something? Because, honestly, we haven't got a full-time. There's no full-time board member. There isn't. Steve Bawley's got all his other business interests. Okay, Ken Chew is up doing his car salesman stuff. Mehmet's never there. Tan's never there. So who rocks up in the morning and says, There's not. It's not very well going on. We need a director of football. We need just a director, someone to direct the business because there's no one there.
Interesting. It is a crazy way. I know we're all in business and we know the proper way to run things, but it is absolutely crazy for a championship club to be in the situation we're in. Really, just to keep it nice and light. I think we touched on it earlier that obviously Rhys has been over to see Mr. Tan, and now we hear that he wants to, or he's going to be playing lots and lots of the younger players in the team over the next few weeks. Thinking about some of the boys we've got out on loan at the moment, if there's a possibility that we could bring them back, anyone particular that we'd all like to see back in the first team squad from the youngsters out on loan?
I got a couple of friends up in Morecambe, and Eli King's doing really well up there for them, as far as I'm aware. They seem to really like him up there. Yeah, whether he could come back and kind of do that for us, I don't know. But you've got to look at. What's happening with this Simic? Is there a reason why? Is he Croatian lad or the one we've the centre forward we bought and then loaned out straight away? Is there a reason why we can't have him in the squad? I'm sure there's some kind of paperwork problem or something. Maybe wrong.
Do you know what?
I don't know. I mean, that's the sort of thing where I don't want to. We don't want to hear about that because it's just a nonsense. Because it's going to be something. Well, it is. It's going to be something not dodgy as such, is it? But it's going to be something whereby I don't know what to do with someone. Someone will know, but I don't know something to do with work permit to come into the country. Does he have to play in the EU for so long before he can get into?
That was the kind of rumor I heard, Alice. I mean, like that. I just wondered if anybody actually knew properly. Kieran Evans as well. I suppose.
Kieran Evans is a good one. He's up at Newport, Neil, I think, isn't he?
Yeah. Again, he's doing okay, but I mean, you just got to get. I know it's funny. It's a sink or swim job now, really, isn't it? I mean, if this is what he's going to be doing, is playing the youngsters, you're either going to be good enough or you're not, and it'll be time to find out. But maybe don't leave it too late.
Well, we've got a youngster on the bench in Reindorf, and we won't play him.
No, I know. There's some contractual thing there, I reckon, as well, Al. Don't worry. That's the biggest mystery.
Do you know any songs about him, Neil? Neil, it's Christmas. Sorry, Wig, I've got to do this. I'm going to embarrass Nell. Nell's got a song for Reindorf when he comes on.
Reindorf the Blue. On the way back from West Brom. Yeah, that was interesting. Thing is, Al, I can't remember the words now. Funny enough,
you can't remember the track. Reindorf the Red Nose Reindeer or something.
What do you reckon about?
And if you ever play him, he'll score you loads of goals.
That was it.
He'll come back to me.
That's why we got such a big audience tonight, Neil. Everyone was looking forward to your song. It was it was a chance to shine.
I'm still not that well.
Joel Colwell, John. Joel Colwell, John.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Myself personally, I would have built the team around Ruben and Joel Colwell. Myself personally, that's what I would have done. Build a team around them too.
So we got Preston in town. Come on, Neil.
I was just going to say, I think the drop-in of Ruben kind of gave him a bit of a... He had a couple of mediocre games, really, didn't he? Where I think the other teams have worked out, how he was receiving the ball and turning and that. They just stuck two people on him, and they kind of just put him out of the game, really. But he's come back really well. I think he deserves a bit of a pat on the back for that.
So we got Preston in town tomorrow night. Then, Wednesday night, isn't it? So yeah. Wednesday, and we've had all the stats off Al. So they haven't won away all season, Al.
Haven't won away all season. Haven't won in 10. So you know what's going to happen.
I'm winning 10.
QPR all over again, isn't it?
It is. It's they're all difficult games, aren't they? I mean, you almost get encouraged looking at the league table because everyone's playing so badly in the bottom half. There's hardly any four points separating so many clubs. We can get out of this. We can get out of it. And when Ritzer came in and we had a little bit of a run, everyone was encouraged. but it's just papering over those cracks that are there, and which we know have been there for a long, long, long time. I think we perhaps more in hope than expectation. I think we will stay up. I think we will, but then nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to change. We can't expect any change. But for me, what's most disappointing is the lack of respect now that the club are showing to the fans. That's for me is more disappointing than anything. We know it's a circus, as everyone's calling it. We know it's a circus behind the scenes, right? But we've kind of grown up or got used to it, and that's going on. But to then put up with this, and all of us spending our money to go and watch them, to then have someone turn around basically and saying the way you're talking about the way the club's run is wrong. Well, it's, what do they expect? That's what gets me. Anyway, rant over, as they say.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because there is a meeting tonight, isn't there, between the club and the select fans? Then, isn't there, this evening? Am I right in that?
I didn't know it was this evening. I didn't know.
I think it's tonight. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but what I would say, and there's been some discord previously that it's the select fans. These are ones we voted in, okay? And they're just normal fans. They're not someone with access to grind or any agenda on behalf of themselves. They're just people like us. And I think that what will happen is they're doing it on a voluntary basis, okay? They don't get any prestige out of doing what they're doing. And I think what will happen is they'll think, I'm not going to be bothered to go on this because I'm going along. I'm not getting paid. You don't expect to be paid, but I'm giving up an evening a week or whatever it is. And in response to this, the club are coming up with mistruths as to who's there for a start. And then they're saying, how very dare you come out and criticise us? Well, it's supposed to be an independent fans advisory board. Is it then not going to be independent because they've got to say what Vincent Tam wants them to say? He's not used to being questioned, is he?
Al, is this the one Fraser's involved in?
Yes. Yeah. So there we are. I've got a little bit. My son's on it. He got voted on. I didn't. but he's involved in it. And I know how much time he puts in it. They're all sworn to secrecy, and they are. They've had to sign non-disclosure agreements with the club and this, that, and the other. But that doesn't mean that they can't then come out and give views. They're not allowed to talk about outside of certain. They publish their minutes. Okay, so you can look at that. They might be told, right, don't announce certain things that are embargoed, and they respect that. The club would have done better to just, in my view, would have been better to just have said nothing. Okay, and just rather than stoke up this fire. I mean, there's talk about protests at the Swansea game. I see online.
Yeah, I've seen a few rumblings. People are trying to set things up. So whether that comes off is another thing. I suppose it all depends. That's probably depend. I mean, if we go on a mad run and win the next 3 games, then it'll all be forgotten. But Craig Richardson, best goal ever seen at Ninian Park. I don't remember this one. Perhaps you guys do. Earnshaw against Stoke at Ninian Park. Any memories there? I don't remember that one. You got me there. And Jeff Camplin and quite a few guys are going for Clarkey, of course, in the cup against Real Madrid. Yeah. And there is a fair bit of footage of that on YouTube as well. But amazing how many people are mentioning Jason Kumas as well, and Bobby Morey, another shout for Buchanan's free kick against the Jacks. It's just good to remember goals because we've had a bit of a lack of quality goals over the last few seasons, but it's just nice to remember that we have scored some decent goals over the years, haven't we? And we've had good strikers. Bothroyd, what a striker he was.
Chopper and Cormac.
Ernie. Tony Evans. Adrian Alston.
Yeah. I suppose Chopper and Bothroyd was the last proper strike for us we had, really, on as a pairing.
Yeah. Perhaps we didn't appreciate it.
Look at the side when they were in the team. We had Berkey on the wing as well, Whittingham. The creativity in the team. People that were chipping in with goals all over the place. That's what we're missing, aren't we? Even though Robertson did look good against Coventry, admittedly, didn't he?
Yeah, we've got a couple of good individuals, haven't we? There's no doubt about it, but we just haven't got enough at the moment. There's just not enough. We're I think we're threadbare in lots of positions. Perry NG's not having his best kind of spell of the season. He's getting exposed a bit. But there's no one, you may need a rest. So, but who are you going to put in there? This is the difficulty. I think he's playing players. He's having to play players who will probably could do just a game or two out in the spotlight and bring them back in, freshen them up, kind of thing. But I don't think he's got that luxury, is he?
Our next two games, look, boys. Our next two games, we're Preston are just above us, Stoke are just above them. Now these are the games really that we've got to get something out of. When we've been positive, we've given our score predictions on you, and we've gone, we'll go and beat those. We're going to beat QPR. I want to try and stay positive because, like you said, Wiggy, if we had 6 points in the next two games, look at how tight it is. You can rocket up the table. You really can. And it's like Nell said earlier, though, it's going to be a difficult month ahead with the amount of away games that we've got. So, we'll see.
Yeah. And Sheffield United come here just before Christmas, don't they? And they're flying, really. They look like they're going to be on the way up, I think.
Yeah, we can't match a team like that. You can't match them. We can't match Leeds, Burnley. We're no match for them, are we? We're not even. I don't think we're even competing against that sort of team. They're fantastic.
That's the worry as well, really, Alan. We used to be able to compete. Now we're light years away from it, unfortunately.
Definitely, and that's why we have to pick up points against you, like Preston and Stoke. Yeah, because we've still got all these teams to play. At least once again this season, and it's hard going. We can't even go. They do seem like Premier League teams, don't they? Sheffield United, Leeds, Burnley.
It's a big gap between a few of them and the rest of the division, I think. Yeah.
And touching on Perry NG, you said need give him a rest. How about giving the little Capaccio a go?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, until you try and you don't know, do you? This is the thing, and they don't seem to be prepared. Well, unless his kind of remit now is to play the youngsters, we'll all get behind them. I don't think many of the fans won't get behind them, regardless of the results. I think they, notoriously, the City fans will get behind the youngsters.
Been right, and Conte and that QPR game that was made for Reindorf to come on the last half hour. That was made for him. Made for him to come on there.
It was really strange how he didn't come on, John. Something went on the side because he was definitely coming on. The amount of detail they were giving him with about 35 minutes to go, and after he went running, and then he changed their mind. Like I said earlier, it was really, really strange. Oxford United on Boxing Day, a nice festive fixture. I suppose you're going, John?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
They started well, didn't they? But they're only 2 places above us now, point above us, I think.
Was it the home form's been pretty good, haven't it?
Yeah. It's made for Mark Harris to score now.
Oh, absolutely. Odds on, isn't it?
And then, like you said, we got these next 6 games coming up, I think, are crucial because if you look after the Oxford game, then it's Watford away and Watford at home. I don't think they've dropped any point. I think they virtually won all their games at home. I don't think they've dropped hardly any points. Really strong, but a bit all over the place away, but at home, really, really strong. And then Frank Lampard's back in town on New Year's Day, Coventry City at the stadium. So there's some tough games coming up there. It's a crucial time, Christmas, isn't it?
3 days later, then
what do you think?
Borough away. Then, so it doesn't get any easier, does it? We end our run of games with Borough away. They're going to be in the mix, aren't they? I think we'd all agree on that.
Yeah,
It's hard to see where we're getting the points out of those 6 games. To be honest with you, when you look at it, it's a tough old run there.
Very tough.
So are the next 2 games against Preston and Stoke imperative that we come away with at least 4 points? What do you think, Al?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean this game on Wednesday is very, very, very important because if you can't beat someone who hasn't won away all season, who haven't won in 10, if you can't beat that team, you've got to be thinking, well, hang on. Go back to what John said right at the opening of the show. You're looking at relegation, aren't you? If you can't beat someone like Preston or End, with greatest respect to them, What questions can be asked, though? What questions can be asked? Everything, nothing's going to change. I can't see what's going to change. We haven't got enough coaches. We've got a coach. Nothing against Rhys, so don't get me wrong. Is that he can only the cards he's play the cards he's got, I suppose, but it's just a difficult one. I just don't feel encouraged. I just don't feel encouraged by it. We're going down, aren't we? Because that's what unless you've got and people get better things to do coming up to Christmas as well. Okay, we go because that's what we do. But if you're only a sort of not fair weather, I don't call fair weather fans, but people just dip in and out of games. You're not going to go to Cardiff City for entertainment at the moment. It's a difficult one.
What do you reckon about Stoke away, John? Always hard game up there.
Hard up there.
Freezing cold as well, John.
I'll take a draw right now. I'll bite your hand off for a draw now. I'll take a point up there. Never easy up there, Stoke. That's why that QPR game was massive. It was a massive game, and we lost it. Can't beat the teams.
I watched a bit of their game against Norwich. Yeah, I watched QPR's game against Norwich on Saturday, and I got to say I was really impressed with them on Saturday. They blew Norwich away. It just goes to show that perhaps where they were when they played us, perhaps they were in a bit of a false position, but we just couldn't break them down that night, could we? We didn't look like breaking them down. As you say, he was crying out for Randolph.
Yeah, it was all slow and conscious from the start, wasn't it, Steve? It was side. We went back to, as John would say, back to the bullet ways. It was side to side. It was slow. Yeah, it was just turgid, basically, wasn't it? It was dreadful. But we just got to hit another purple patch, haven't we? It's as simple as that to get out of this mess. We've got to hit another purple patch at some point.
Yeah, to put a positive spin on it, O'Neill, I think to Wednesday night we got to come out the traps on the front foot and get at
That's all, get the fans on side as well. This is what they don't seem to kind of. It does, as John would say. The penny doesn't drop. It's like you've got to give us something to get behind as well, kind of thing. Especially as you say on a Wednesday night, you're playing Preston. It's not the most attractive of games, but we need the 3 points like any other 3 points. But you've got to give us something to kind of, get us off our seats kind of thing and, attack.
Score predictions then, gentlemen. I think we'll get in there. We'll just take the next two games. Preston first and then Stoke out. What do you reckon?
I think we'll beat Preston 3-0, and I think it'll be 0-0 at Stoke.
3 at home against Preston.
Yeah.
See, we are positive.
Everything will click. All right, everything will click, and we'll beat them. There we go. And we probably won't have left. We'll miss the whole game, and it'll be the game of the season. That's what normally happens with me. If I miss a game, they do well. So there we go. Perhaps I just won't go.
John, are you feeling optimistic? Are we going to get 3 against Preston? Is our super sub Kanga going to come off the bench and notch that elusive hat trick?
Oh God! Oh dear! Ganja, whatever his name is. Oh God! Oh dear! They couldn't trap a bag of cement. Let them out, jeez. I'm going to be positive. All right, I'll be positive. 2-1 against Preston. 1-1 up in Stoke.
So we got 4 points in the bag. I think we'd be happy with that. What about you now?
I just think 1-0. I'm hoping for just a 1-0 win on Wednesday night. I don't see us getting anything at Stoke. So, if we have 3 points from the 2 games, so be it. I think it's just such a tough place to go. It'd be a surprise I'd be surprised if we got anything there. I got to be honest with you. Hopefully we get something, but hopefully the boys are right. I mean, after Al's speech, and I've just had the Samaritans back on the phone. He's back in the running.
Just quickly to mention, Simon had a nice chat with Paul Abitonato the other night, answering people's questions for on all sorts of things, Bluebirds, 2 hours worth. So that's available to watch online. And tonight, if you want more City, there's a members-only show at 9:00. If people would like to join CCFC, Cardiff City FC World, they can through Patreon or through the Cardiff City World YouTube channel. So look forward to that 9:00 tonight. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been great seeing you all. If we don't see you between now and Christmas, keep the faith and let's pray for 3 points, 6 points at the next couple of games. Thanks for coming on and have a good night.
Cheers, mate. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
for it.